Hi, and welcome to the No Experience. I'm Cherie No, and today, y'all, we are getting controversial. Today, we're going to talk about people who really should not be coming to visit South Korea. Are you one of them? Let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first one, don't come to South Korea if you think all Korean men are going to act like Kdrama men.
Oh, honey, I don't know what you're talking about.
So this one might be more for like my millennial viewers. Don't think I have many millennial viewers, but actually it doesn't have to be millennials because I mean, people of all ages really do love Korean movies, Korean dramas, but I know, and I have seen with my own eyeballs, some of the ways that people expect young men or any men are going to act when they come to South Korea. Just like Koreans think all people on American TV behave the same way. Which, I mean, if you think about like Borat and Die Hard and Knocked Up, I mean, these movies may not make us look that great. That is never gonna happen, y'all. Now, I mean, granted, I do have the most perfect K-drama-esque husband ever. But it's not gonna happen for y'all, so don't come to South Korea thinking that's how men are going to treat you. Okay, number 2. Don't come to South Korea if you don't like rice or alcohol. Now, granted, if you're just visiting for a vacation, you can probably get away with not eating or drinking any alcohol. However, if you are planning to move to South Korea for a job, you better find a way to get over it. I don't have a job in South Korea. I do have lupus, so things like rice and alcohol, my autoimmune is not particularly fond of rice and alcohol, but gotta find a way to get over it. Especially with your employment, because mostly the alcohol. In South Korea culture, when you have a job, there's often required overtime, and this required overtime a lot of times will be going to a restaurant and having drinks with your boss. Korean culture, they believe that drinking alcohol with your employees helps everyone to loosen up and helps them to bond and have a better cohesive dynamic in their workforce. So you can only get away with saying no a few times. Otherwise, you gotta go. So if you don't like drinking alcohol, this may not be the place for you. But for everyone else, it's great. Okay, y'all. My next one, it may be controversial, but I'm just gonna put it out there. Don't come to South Korea if you're vegan.
How dare you?
Now, listen, I'm not bashing y'all vegans out there. I'm really not. Though, I have to admit, it's not my lifestyle choice. But South Korean food is very meat heavy. It doesn't mean that if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you can't, especially vegetarians, especially because there's a lot of different kinds of vegetarians. Some will have eggs, some will have fish, and there's plenty of those here too. But if you are super adamant about not having any meat products and you're super vegan, it may be a challenge. I mean, there's tofu here. My fellow Americans, you just gotta realize the whole world is not into the non-GMO, grass-fed, organic trend that y'all are in. I'm sure at the market you can buy some organic vegetables, but you guys, it's not going to be a lifestyle that will be easy for you to find in South Korea. They love their fried chicken. And oh my God. I don't care who y'all are, and I know my friends down in the South are going to kill me later for saying this. America's got nothing on South Korean fried chicken. Someone else may have invented it, but y'all, they perfected it. Okay, my next one. Don't come to South Korea if you super hate crowds. If you're not aware, South Korea is a very small country and there's a lot of people here. But especially if you're planning to come to Seoul, which a lot of vacationers like to do, Seoul is a very big city and it's very dense. So especially getting around Seoul is really easy, by the way. The subway system is crazy easy, especially for foreigners who don't speak English. It's really easy to use and you can get all over Seoul, which me and my daughters did the first time we came to Seoul. And I spoke very little Korean then. And we were able to travel all over the place, no problem. But the subway is jam-packed at all times, and there are people everywhere at all times. So now, Daegu, where I live, it's a little less it's a big city, but it's a little less dense like that in public places. And you can even travel to more of the countrysides or the ocean sides, and it's not quite that dense. But if you're planning to come to Seoul and you hate crowds, you know, bring your Xanax. Actually, y'all, this one was not on my list, but just talking about the Xanax a second ago made me realize this needs to be on the list. Don't come to South Korea if you have specific medications you cannot live without. Not all medication is legal in South Korea. When I first moved here, before when I lived in America, I used Adderall. I have really bad ADHD, and it's very difficult for me to function on any level without it. Which is probably why making YouTube videos that are short is a great outlet for me. But anyway, that medication is a narcotic in South Korea and is illegal. Now, when you're visiting, like the first times I came to visit South Korea, I had to apply. There is a form online that you can get to apply to temporarily bring a specific amount of your medication into the country, but they want to see documentation, how many days. You need to get a copy of the prescription from your doctor. You bring send them also your passport and your flight itinerary, and you're only allowed to bring enough of the medication just for those days, and it needs to be that medication only. So every medication you need that might be illegal in this country, you need to get that form. If you're planning to move here like I did, that's a different story. I had to be willing to give that medication up. Now, I'd used it for like 10 years and it was the only thing that worked. So when I came to South Korea, I ended up having to switch to a different medication, and it really doesn't work that great for me, but it's the only option I have. So I'm glad that is a possibility. But if you do have medications and you're planning to move to South Korea, make sure that you check with the list and find out if the medication you need, you either can get here, which the healthcare system is fantastic. And I do have a video on that as well. But, check with that. Otherwise, moving to South Korea may not be the option for you. Okay, my next one. Don't come to South Korea if you expect everyone to speak English. Yeah, I know. Look, y'all, I told you this is going to be controversial. Americans as a whole do kind of think that the world revolves around them. Don't pretend like you don't think it does. Maybe you not specifically, but you know what I'm talking about. As a whole, Americans think the entire world and everything around it circles around them. Yes, English is one of the most dominant languages spoken in the world, and yes, Koreans do speak English as a whole. And you'll find more people in Seoul that speak English, which is helpful. They do have all the signs in Korea have English and Korean, so that's really awesome. But if you think that you're going to be able to come to South Korea and just randomly talk to anyone in English and don't have to know any Korean, I mean, that's a little self-centered. Now, you don't have to know a bunch of Korean, but you should at least learn how to say hello, which is 안녕하세요, and say thank you, 감사합니다. I mean, those two things alone will really help you a lot when you're here. And that's pretty much, you can get away with it pretty well for visiting here with just those two words. Please, y'all, don't come to South Korea and be haughty and think that they should be speaking your language, because the tables have turned. You're now in their country. Okay, my bedroom is starting to get super hot. So this is the last one I'm going to share with y'all. Don't come to South Korea if you are extremely uncomfortable with people staring at you. If you have seen any of my other videos, you know I have talked about this a little bit. I get stared at everywhere I go. Seoul, you get stared at a little less because there are more foreigners in Seoul. They have a couple of major universities in Seoul, and there's a lot of foreign students who come in, and there's like English teachers who come here for a few years too. So Seoul, it's a little less staring, but anywhere outside of Seoul, you just prepare yourself, like mentally, just be like, okay, I got this, I'm ready, it's gonna happen. They know I'm not a celebrity, but they're gonna treat me and look at me like I am, but I ain't got no money, that kind of thing. Now, again, they don't stare because they hate you. They don't stare at you because they're being rude. They like a lot of times they don't really see a lot of foreigners depending on where you live. I live in Daegu. There are not a lot of foreigners here, even though it's a really large city. So everyone looks because then they just, oh, there's a foreigner. Oh, and they're just curious. Like they just want to look at you. And like on the street, it doesn't bother me as much, but the only time I get super uncomfortable with it is when we're at a restaurant, because then I can't really get away from it. But my K-drama romantic amazing husband, every time we go to a restaurant, he has me sit immediately in the chair with my back to the rest of the restaurant, and he tries to find tables in the corner so that I can sit with my back to the rest of the rest of the restaurant, so I don't notice all the people that are curiously staring at me and want to get a look at this. Anyway, I really hope that you like this video. Please do consider subscribing. I am trying to monetize the channel, and I am thinking about doing a video going to the North Korean demilitarized zone. If you're interested in that video, please do subscribe so you can see that video and help me get monetized. And also, if you would like to become a patron of the channel so I can afford to go up to the North Korean demilitarized zone and make a video for y'all, you can do so at patreon.com/thenoexperience. So y'all, until next time, stay classy, YouTube.